everybody. Come on in. Let's make sure we are started. All right, everybody, come on in, come on in. For anyone who doesn't know me, hi, I am Maggie, your substitute teacher. You may know me from my cooking channel. I am all about food and femininity. We have a very special guest in the class today. I am not going to waste any time, and I am going to bring up none other than Keli Pitts. The Femininity Doctor is here. Hello, Keli.
I'm trying to get my wave on camera. Hi, Maggie, and Maggie's lovely community.
Oh my goodness. So I am going to do, I guess, the formal introduction and then tell how I first came across you. And then I would ask you to introduce yourself to the community if I missed anything. But Keli Pitts is an author. She is a feminist theorist. She is a sociologist, and she is also a content creator. I actually saw Keli for the first time years ago. She was going live on Instagram. And you know how people just kind of land into your feed by happenstance or not. And she was talking about femininity. And I have shared that I've been on my own feminine journey. And when I saw her, of course, she's beautiful, but she was smart and she was saying things that I had not heard anybody else talking about. And so she mentioned she had a course. I bought her course. I bought her book. I have been binging her and just kind of doing my own thing. Hello, everybody coming in. And several weeks ago, I got a phone call and I was starstruck because on the other end of that phone call was none other than the lovely Keli Pitts saying that she had been watching my content. Me, y'all, me. She was watching my content. She enjoyed it and she wanted to share with me some of the projects that she has going on and invite me to one of her events. So we are going to talk all about it. But Keli, I have to start by saying thank you so much for being here. Please introduce yourself or share whatever else I may have missed.
Absolutely, Maggie. Thank you for having me. And of course, I've been watching your content. It's beautiful, it's meaningful, and I think you have a personality that's just made for TV or this screen. It's just right. But as you were saying, my name is Keli Pitts, the Femininity Doctor. I am an author, sociologist, and feminist theorist. My niche in feminist theory is its impacts on the American family.
I love that. So, okay, class, I have 10 questions that I have prepared, and Keli is going to do she's going to share with us, she's going to answer their questions, thankfully, and then she's going to share with us some of the ways that she is making an impact. I've also put her information along the ticker and in the description so you all can support her like I do. So my first question for you, Keli, I know a little bit about your origin story and why you have the title, The Femininity Doctor, but could you please explain to us why that name?
So you want to know how the name came to me or what my purpose and mission is? I don't want to go on and on because I can.
Please go on and on. We have an hour and I want you to share whatever you want to share. So I would say yes and.
Okay, well, so I am a Christian and my faith informs everything I do. So, I want to say around 25 or 26, God really started speaking to me about the fact that everything I went through was not just for me, but for women, right? Now, he only gives us things in parts. So I didn't know I was the femininity doctor around 25 or 26, but I did know that I was being prepared to help women get back to their femininity and truly understand it for what it is versus what your pain says it is, or what society says it is, or how modern feminism has redefined it, right? So I started on that journey of really understanding like what I was put here for around 25. I want to say it was around 28 or 29. I went on a fast, maybe 30, 29, 30, in that range. I was modern day Claire on Instagram. That was, you were not following me then. But God said it's time to change that name and fully walk into this. And so I fasted. I'm like, what is the name that you want me to go by? And one day God dropped it on me. I was on a 3-day water fast specifically. So there was nothing but H2O and lemons in my system. And God said, you are the femininity doctor. And I said, that's perfect. So here we are.
Here we are. Absolutely. We've got Luke Hazley. I'm sure you've seen Lucy and I, the work that we do. She says the religious base plays a huge role in a woman getting back to traditional living. You and I share the same faith, and I could not agree more. And I would just ask, well, I know that your content is not about converting anyone, but your purpose really comes from something greater than us. So I would love to ask you, for anyone who doesn't share the Christian faith, maybe they are in another country or another culture, where can they get that feminine inspiration from?
You know what, Maggie? So, and I talk about this in my course, and I make that disclaimer up front. You don't have to be a Christian to really connect to what I'm saying. So I think when a woman is just really willing to honor the message versus, okay, I'm not a Christian, so I don't want to receive any of it, she'll get far still, right? Like if we just took out the fact that my faith influences the knowledge, and I have a science background, so I talk about biology, who we are biologically in my course as well, for those women who do not resonate with Christianity. Um, pardon me. It's all the same, though. It's all the same.
I love that. So I'm going to take a sip, and we're doing morning mimosas with the Femininity Doctor for those of y'all that are coming in. Cheers. What are you drinking, Kelly?
So I actually have a mango secco. So it's fresh squeezed mangoes with prosecco,
That
lightly
sounds
sweetened.
delightful. Hmm. Absolutely. And I have, it doesn't look like it, but I have a skinny Bellini. So this is Topo Chico. So this is just sparkling water, unflavored. And then I do have some peach sugar-free syrup. And then for a garnish, I put a couple fresh blackberries in here. So I am toasting you all on this mimosa morning. We've got Killers coming in the house. Hello, Kim K, and hello, Living Out Loud. Okay, so fantastic. And another thing that I love about your course, like you said, a lot of us get our purpose from our Father, Heavenly Father, but also you don't have to look far in nature. You talk about this in nature when you look at the masculine and you look at the feminine in nature. It's all around us if we choose to see it. So I absolutely love that. Did you want to add anything about nature?
Yes, absolutely. When we let nature just play out, we can definitely see clear signs that masculinity and femininity are inherently different. The masculinity, like if you just look at men and how they move about, if you're walking up the street, for example, in my city, right? And I look at men, I look at how they carry themselves. I look at the fact that they have broader shoulders, they have bigger arms, wider backs, bigger hands, um, legs that tend to extend a little bit further out. You know what I mean? They tend to be looking around more because they are the hunters, right? And they are the protectors. And so, yes, absolutely. So they are always on the search for potential danger, whether they know that's what they're doing or not, versus women, they're kind of talking to each other, especially if there's two or more, right? Yeah. They're not necessarily looking around, searching for danger. They don't catch things as quickly as men. There's more of a light and airy type of essence that surrounds a woman versus fixed, and I'm ready to be attacked. And I'm not so trusting and smiley. So you're absolutely right about nature just taking its course and seeing the clear differences in what masculinity and femininity are.
I absolutely love this. And I've shared with everyone I am a boy mom, two teenage boys. And if you think that it is not
Boys
true,
are boys
just
are
watch how boys naturally play together, how they're rough. If you're ever with a masculine man, Kelly is right. His head is on a swivel, and I'm just skipping through like everything is great. So, ladies, I always have the disclaimer. I understand maybe this isn't for you, but when you start studying this and when you start having that awareness, you cannot not see it. I love this. So, my next question for you, Kelly. So, we talked a little bit about masculinity and femininity. When is femininity at its best? A lot of us are on a feminine journey, but if you could describe, bring back, make femininity great again, what does it look like? What would it be? How would you describe it?
Okay, so this reminds me of college days a bit. We were talking about estrogen versus testosterone and how women are actually naturally wired for love, nurturance, and helpfulness. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about feminist theory, because feminism tells women that those things are true and who we are inherently is flawed and not as good as masculinity, protection, um, leadership, provision. If we just honor how we are made, right, we will get back to who we are as women instead of saying that's not aspirational to be a nurturer, to be a mom, to be helpful and submissive to your man. That's not inspiring. I settled in life. Actually, it's proven that when a woman honors that and she has that safety net, she is much happier versus that woman who is trying to be something other than what she is. And she is stressed and likely on a coping med, which has significantly skyrocketed in the last 50 to 60 years, women on coping medicines.
That is so true. One of the things I love about your work, Kelly, is how much of a scholar you are. I mean, in my class, I call my community scholars as I'm the substitute teacher. But when I really dig into the work that you've done, how much research and how much content is there, and I know that's what you're putting into your second book. So I can't wait to hear more about that. But that is so true what you said about our natural femininity, and it is a superpower, and I think it's a hidden superpower for a lot of women. And I believe you mentioned it. For those of you all who don't know, Kelly has been featured in Essence magazine. She's been on multiple podcasts and interviewed by even Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child. So this is a huge honor for me. But as I was prepping for this and I was listening to some of the work that you talked about, we can't outman men. And I think a lot of women try to compete with men as men. And when I was talking to my man, he said it's true. Like even when you look at a man who is trying to take on, being a woman, you can still see there's something that like they're never going to be that natural woman, and we will never be that natural masculine man. So I think it's actually an exercise in futility to try. Why not just blossom and bloom where you are already great? And so I absolutely love that.
You're so
Absolutely
right
love
about
that.
that.
Please, yes.
Oh, no, I was just saying you're so right about that, and your man, of course, who you speak very highly of, which is important because you were made from man for man, right? So there's nothing wrong with, giving your man that respect. But something I would like to add to that is, and this is just, I don't want to get too into detail because I don't want to confuse anything or anyone. But you're right, men and women cannot switch places. And I know we're living in a society that's, in a way, seemingly moving towards a genderless society. But you know what? A great friend, she actually informed me of this and reminded me of it in a way. She said, even when we have patients who want to come in and get sex changes, she said, what they don't seem to understand is the DNA never changes. So even if you get reconstructed genetically, it's still there. Masculinity and femininity are inborn traits, characteristics, and in existence. You can't tamper with it successfully.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. We got Jesse in the house saying hello, Maggie and Kelly. I've been following the Femininity Doctor for years now. Brilliant work. Yes, she is absolutely brilliant. And Erin Laura is saying we really are. I'm not a very girly girl, but I still got into soft healthcare because there's something about me that wants to provide comfort and take away pain. I absolutely love what you said. And I'll move on to the next question. But what you said about even people who try to change it, and we understand and I accept it's a free country. You can do what you want to. But I remember Luke Hazley said in one of our streams that sometimes when people try to have those alteration surgeries, there's a lot of depression that comes from that because we talked about this recently. We women bond by talking and sharing to each other. We're very communal. We're socially, we're just better off when we have that connection. Whereas if you really watch men and observe them, they recharge almost in solitude. They do things that are productive. They may go fishing or do something quietly, working in the garage with tools. And so I remember Luke Hazley mentioned a woman who became very depressed because she had the physical characteristics, but she was still looking to engage as a woman, and she felt very isolated because I've seen boys, they can sit and play video games. They don't say anything to each other, but that's how they bond. We just are who we are. I absolutely love that. So I'll ask you, with everything that's happening and what you're observing, in culture and in research, do you have hope that, femininity can still be great and maybe we can turn some of the confusion around?
Oh, absolutely, I do. We are entering into, some say third wave and some say fourth wave, but the general consensus is this: we're at a crossroads in American society where we all know something's wrong, and there's this gender war, right? And people are sick of it. Women are accusing men of abandoning post, and men are accusing women of abandoning post. So we're desperate for the answers, and God has somehow decided that Keli Pitts from Atlanta should tell American society what actually happened. So I have a lot of hope, especially when this book goes to market. I am praying one of the top 5 publishing houses um, takes this on. I feel very confident because it's a national call to action, really. So it gives me a lot of hope.
I am so happy to hear that. And I definitely would love to hear more about the book and the message that you want your second book to bring to us. And also, excuse me, my next question would be, what can I do? What can we do? I know you're working on changing this because, to your point, we can look around us, we can look at the research, but if we're really honest with ourselves, we're not really happy, and as women, we feel and we put on that brave face and we collect all these trinkets and we have these big awards and all these things that we think are great. But if you're crying yourself to sleep, because what we really want, I believe the best version of ourselves is in support to a masculine man. I know it's not for everyone, but what can people do to help besides support you? And tell us about the book.
Ah, geez, you know what? What can people do to help? I'm sorry, and I want to make sure I understand this. Are you saying what can people do to help me, or what can people do to help themselves in American society?
I was thinking the latter, but I would also love for you to share how people can support you because I love what Lisa is saying here. I'm so happy this is being discussed. All these gender pronouns are so sad and totally messed up, and it's concerning for our world today. Those of us who grew up, I've shared, I'm 48. I just never thought growing up that it would be such a landmine. So for those of us who want to help, I have my platform, you have your platform, but what can we as a collective do to help, and how can we support you?
Absolutely. So I'll say this as a collective, especially for those of us who reside in the American West. As a Christian conservative, I'm always going to say we need to get back to our Judeo Christian values. Up to the end of the Second World War, and this is going to be talked about in my book, we were a conservative nation. We really messed up when we invited the sexual revolution into the country, into our society, into our world. Sex is sacred. It's not just a random thing that should be enjoyed between two whoever's. You know, Dr. Alfred Kinsey, who I talk about so much, told American society via his falsified research and data that we are sexual from birth, which is why he ran experiments on 2-month-old children to prove that. I know. And the goal of that was to make us understand that we do experience sexuality pretty much out of the womb. And since this is the case, we should be allowed to enjoy sex however we see fit. Sexual repression is wrong. And that was a bad thing. And the sexual revolution really did a lot of damage, telling women and men that they can do whatever they want, have sex with whoever you want, free love, free sex. That really opened the floodgates for so many other things, right? We had conservative music. Well, now that sex is on display everywhere all the time, we're revolutionizing the term and how we form families. Now we have sexualized music, we have sexualized magazines, sexualized TV, the top three, what they call the big three, CBS, NBC, and ABC, really took us down a different path as far as now we're showing different things on the television. The natural nuclear family is starting to disappear. So to answer that question, because I can talk about this for literally a year, what we have to understand that as women, our bodies are sacred. Who we are is attached to sex and sexuality. If you pretend like the other is true, you're going to be in trouble. And guess what? I talk to a lot of men. Men want to hunt again. So it is, I believe it's really up to men too, but definitely us to get back to those values. Sex is sacred. Virginity is sacred. Abstinence is beautiful. God is beautiful. Judeo-Christianity or Judeo-Christian, however people define it, was working. And we should honor that again as much as possible and rebuild the family.
Oh, I could not agree more. I think the family is everything. That's where community comes from, society comes from. I do see a question from Luke Casely, so I don't know if you're okay to take questions from the chat. Lucy's asking, are you ready for the kind of backlash you're going to get from those who gain from promoting radical feminism? I don't know if you want to talk about any backlash, Kelly.
I do. I'm absolutely ready. God strengthens you for your field. He strengthens you for your purpose. I already get backlash, and I'm so tough now. You know, this last 2 years uh, was quite a lot for me, but God used it to strengthen me because He knows what I'm about to be up against. So I genuinely just don't. I don't care. And I would like to add to this, Luke Hazley, that's her name, right? Luke Hazley. The reason why I'm writing from an academic perspective is because people can hate and dislike, well, they can hate and dislike anything, but you can argue with opinions, you can argue with hunches and sentiments, but the data is there in the book. It's there. We cannot deny that when we welcomed in the sexual revolution and we betrayed our conservative values as a Judeo-Christian nation, America started to decline in almost every major aspect of society. especially when it came to the family.
I could not agree more. And I know several of us in the community here are mothers. I know Mona has boys and I have boys, and I see it all around. I did want to ask you, we've definitely talked about the attack on femininity and what those of us who believe in traditional gender roles are trying to do. Do you believe there's also an attack on masculinity? Is it the same? Is one being hit harder than the other? How do you see it?
Absolutely. I could I can talk about this stuff all day. Okay, so okay, relax, relax. Okay, so originally the sexual revolution was made more popular in mainstream and American culture by Playboy. A lot of people do not know this. Hugh Hefner was inspired by Dr. Kinsey's book, Sexual Behavior in the Human Male and Sexual Behavior in the Human Female, the 1,300-page book I'm reading right now, right? Um, and he said to myself, Hugh Hefner, I've been lied to my whole life. I've been conservative. I've been a good boy. I've been trying to do the right things. Dr. Alfred Kinsey must have a point. You know, sex is not sacred. We should experience it however we want to, right? So Playboy really changed the way men looked at women because of Dr. Alfred Kinsey and the sexual revolution. So masculinity is absolutely under attack. But women, and here's where my gripe comes in with feminism. The sexual revolution went viral because of feminism. It's almost like the sexual revolution was this local artist that had, you know, thousands of supporters because of Playboy and, you know, and it was growing, obviously. But then when that big record label, Feminism, signed the sexual revolution, I mean, it just spun out of control. So both men and women are under attack without a doubt. And I wanted to break down how and why that happened. And I think you did, there was a second part to this question, wasn't it?
Let me see, did I miss it? No, I was just asking, it was one of my questions about masculinity being under attack and femininity being under attack. And I was wondering if you saw them attack equally or if the enemy is coming for one more strongly than the others. I think you answered it unless there was anything else to add.
And I do want to add, the enemy is definitely coming for both because you need you need both to have strong families. However, I think what I can see, right, and we're just being honest, I think women as the more vulnerable sex really fell for it the hardest. There is no masculinist movement. Men don't go around saying, I don't need women and a strong woman and a good woman in a family. However, as Kate Millett, one of the most iconic leaders in feminism, said, the goal of feminism is to break down the natural nuclear family. She said that. And that is the agenda of feminism. So how do we
So
get
how do we
women to
get women?
stop falling for this? Because men can only do so much, especially if when you have the believe all women and the Me Too movement designed to break strong men from having voices about what's going on in society. Two feminist movements. They want to break down strong men so that they don't speak out against this narrative. So it's tough.
It's incredibly tough, but I do believe we can make our little drop in the bucket, which will turn into like a little ripple and a wave, and who knows, but either way, this is the legacy that we want to leave and the principles that we stand on. I
Mhm.
always believe in giving the women who listen to me, tangible tips or advice. And I know you've done a lot of work. You've got your courses, your books, and you're speaking out. For the women that don't feel feminine, I know some women say, well, I've had to be masculine or I had to step up and be both roles. And I get that. I have shared, I was raised in a traditional home. College and corporate America had me into a little bit of modern woman, and I had to get right back on the program.
Yeah.
But what would you say to a woman who says, I just don't feel feminine? What can she do?
I would encourage her to examine her history and her current environment. And, I teach that in my course, Maggie, for a reason. Before I even talk about what masculinity and femininity are, I do that. Um, I I encourage women to take a look at their history and take a look at where they currently are, because that is going to help them understand so much about what's going on inside. And that's important because women do not know how the train got off the tracks. So helping them go backwards does quite a lot or as far as connecting the dots. Like, I didn't realize that was even an issue. I didn't know that was not feminine or that was more on the masculine side. So examining history and examining your current environment and getting my course, because for 149, I mean, it helps you really turn things around.
Absolutely, you all. I'm a huge advocate of the course. I was retaking it. Yeah, you have lifetime access. It's in Kajabi.
Yeah.
Kelly's link tree has all of her resources there. I highly recommend it because this is something that, ladies, I always say we are on this journey. It's a quality that never ages, and it's something that you can always improve. And because the world we live in is masculine, is competitive, is fast paced, it's going to bring that out of you. So if you aren't intentional about choosing femininity at all times, you will slip into that harder, harsher, more masculine self. I
Wow.
love the learning aspect. Yes, absolutely. I heard you speak about this on the interview with Michelle Williams, and I wanted to ask about the different types of femininity because one of the things that I learned on my journey is that there are different types of femininity. It shows up in different ways. I may have more of a girly, more nurturing side. There could be kind of like a more regal first lady side. There could be more of a like a sensual. There can be like a, what are the different types of femininity, or how does it show up to you, and maybe what is that red thread?
So I want to say that femininity doesn't have different types. Women are all different and express their innerness in various ways. Like, you might be super super soft spoken, more than the average. Yeah. You might be the regal, pearls type of dresser, or presenter. But those are more kind of like expressions versus the inbornness that femininity is. Femininity is the hardwiring of a female. It is assigned to her at birth, and those traits and characteristics are to be cultivated by her caretakers, which is why God places an emphasis on marriage between a man and a woman, so that children, and in this case, a female child, can see that femininity play out from her mother and that masculinity play out in her father, so she understands where she falls and what she should expect. But people are lying to women, saying that femininity comes in all types. I've seen dark femininity. I'm like, what is dark femininity? Femininity is not dark, it's light. It's the opposite of that. So, and honestly, Maggie, this is why I hate to keep going back to my course, but I explain it. You have to understand that femininity is what it is, and masculinity is what it is. And here's what those things are. It doesn't change because of society.
Thank you so much for the correction. I really appreciate that
Okay.
because I am still learning. And as
Mhm.
much as I teach, I want to stay a student as well. I think the point that I wanted to make that hopefully, is still true. I believe you said this before. It doesn't mean you have to lose your personality. It doesn't mean you have to lose your quirks. You can still have that silly side, that, goofy side. I'm always dancing. I mean, you can still be who you are, your true authentic self, yet and still be feminine. So would you like to speak to any of those personality traits, but that's different from still consistent femininity?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So, Maggie, one of my pillars this year to move the Fem Doc brand forward is identity, right? We are all females, but your identity, you do have to go through the creator to get that, because he made you. He's the manufacturer. So I'm more girly. I'm bubbly. I'm fun. I'm adventurous. I'm a traveler. I love food and wine, like all these things that make my personality more womanly or make me more womanly. I got those from God. God gave me those things, right? He says, seek me, the kingdom, and I will add to you. One of the things God gave me to help me understand who I am as a woman was solo travel, which is why I love it so much. And through solo travel, I was able to understand, like, oh no, this is actually who I am. I'm not scared. I'm actually very brave and resourceful. I'm not timid. I'll talk to anybody. I'm not going to stand around and wait on, someone to bring something to me. I'm actually going to go and ask. I'm not afraid to put myself out there and talk to people and say, I'm lost. Can someone help me? Right? So again, femaleness and femininity has a base. We are all the same across the board. How we shoot off in different directions comes from God.
I love that. That is so beautiful. You and I have a lot of the
You are
same.
beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you for saying that.
Oh,
Thank you. I really really appreciate that. I'm grateful. Thank you. I have to work on receiving and just receiving a compliment because as women sometimes you want to say that, it's no, just receive and be gracious. Thank you. I appreciate that.
yes, yes.
Victoria says, I wish the Femininity Doctor had a YouTube channel. She does. She is on all socials. I know she has an Instagram and lots of ways for them to follow you. I don't know if you want to speak to that or I'll go to the next question, but where is the best place for people to connect with you?
Actually, Maggie, you inspired me because everywhere I go, people ask me, "Do you have a podcast?" I'm like, "I don't." I don't, but I'm like, "That's God, Kelly. You need to get on top of that." So, pardon me, please. Do I have a YouTube channel? Yes. Is it active? Not really. So, this what we're doing right here, and I actually plan to follow up with you about StreamYard and all that. I'm like, "Okay, so um I'm gonna get into YouTube more."
Well, I am happy to help you because y'all know I'm here every day, either cooking or doing femininity content, and you have an open invitation to come back anytime.
Okay.
And I'll share with you all when Kelly reached out to me about some of her projects. I jumped at the chance to ask her to speak at the finishing school. You all know that Lucy and I have a private finishing school for ladies who maybe didn't get this level of teaching in their upbringing, and we bring in guest speakers. And so Kelly will be doing a private session for the ladies. We'll get that on the calendar. So thank you so
Yeah.
much. Mona says, I agree. Embracing our God-given femininity does not equal boring or no personality. Yeah, we're not talking about Stepford wives or being robots. My next question for you, Kelly, I would love for you to describe the world that you want to see. If you could have it your way, if you could close your eyes and say, it is finished, what does it look like from the femininity perspective or family or anything?
I would love to see our country return to the Judeo-Christian values we once held near and dear, and for the kids especially to benefit from it because they are our future, and they have hurt the most, I think, from the sexual revolution, aka feminism. um, and they didn't have a choice in it, and they don't have a choice in it. So women should get back to understanding that, listen, being a homemaker or having a career that still allows you to be a family woman is not, it doesn't mean you've settled. Trying to move in masculine spaces doesn't make you more empowered. And for men to understand that it is time to reclaim your place in society as leaders and kings, and stop being so afraid of being canceled by the Me Too movement and believe all women, because that's what it was designed to do: cancel the voices of strong men. If you stand up against feminism, we're going to say that you raped somebody, or you did something you didn't have any business doing. So now men are just silent on issues because they don't want to lose their livelihood and their reputations and their families. So for people to just understand that this is what God says femininity is. This is what nature and biology clearly support, and for them to lean into platforms that are telling the truth, like Maggie, the substitute teacher, and the femininity doctor.
Absolutely. I could not have said it better myself. And you're right. The men are silent and the women still aren't happy. They're complaining. Men don't approach. Marriage rates are down. So ladies, you can't straddle the fence, choose wisely and pick a side. Speaking of the men, we've got Team Patterson in here saying this message needs to be spread across the West to all modern women. Conditional femininity is what is spread today for the right man who makes me comfortable and unlock my femininity. I know this wasn't a question from the list, but do you want to speak to this myth of conditional femininity and women who think I can turn it on or I will turn it on when all of my conditions are met?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so femininity, as I was saying earlier in the podcast, is an inborn thing. God gave that to you when he formed you in your mother's womb. You can't turn it off and turn it on and be successful. You can't like open yourself up and just try to be like, okay, God, let me grab that, throw it away. And then, when I'm in the presence of a masculine man, I'll go back and get it. No, it's in you already. You know what I mean? Now, like I said, your caretakers are supposed to cultivate certain traits and characteristics so that you understand how to let it play out in the natural. But you are already feminine at birth. You cannot turn that off. You can stifle it, you can deny it, but then you're in trouble. So there is no such thing as conditional femininity. And yeah.
I love that. Thank you for saying that. I think sometimes the truth just has to be said, and it takes brave women like yourself and older women like me who are like, I've lived my life. Look, I am so thankful that I had the traditional upbringing because when I strayed, I had something to come back to because I had that example. Lucy says it's going to take strong women to speak up and fight against the radical feminism concept. Yes, it is within us. So in our last 15 minutes together, I want to talk about some of the things that you have coming up. Keli, I am so excited. We've talked about your book. We've talked about you were very active on social, kind of took a step back to focus on getting that book ready. Now you're making your rounds again. You're here with our community. You're going to start your own channel and podcast. But what else do you have coming up that I may be a part of soon?
Oh, funny. I thought you were about to ask me about my love life, as everyone tends to do. Everybody's like, who are you dating? Who are you with? I'm like,
I wasn't going to ask, but if you want to share, it's up
no,
to
I
you.
don't. I'm so protective of my love life because people just, as a spiritual being, you're supposed to, I just prefer to protect it. People will figure it out when I'm engaged. And God is
Hello.
working on me too. But anyway, he's such a, so as far as what I have coming up, the Bras and Brunch is a great event coming up in February 10th. We're going to be having a bra plus lingerie educational morning at Rigby and Peller, London, a super high end store, probably the most high end lingerie store or a brick and mortar in the country, one of the most at least. And I'm so thrilled they partner with me because I like luxury anyway. But uh, feminists have told women that the things that pertain to womanhood do not matter. You wonder why you see teenage girls and even adult women walking around with bras that are ill fitting. They're spilling out of their shirts. They've got that underwire that's cutting into the breast, and that your breasts sit directly on top of your rib cage, right? We're talking about bad posture, back issues, pain, cancer, and all of these things. And when you tell a woman that her femininity, even on a basic level, isn't important, you have women neglecting things like their feminine health. So I am having this event to really educate women, but also make femininity fun and sexy. And we're gonna eat, and we're gonna be having bramosas, and in a luxury environment, because women do feel good when they're in luxurious places and having good food around ladies and having that education. Like, listen, first of all, as an American woman, why are you getting fitted at a European store? That's why your bra's too small. A lot of women do not know that. We're going to be talking about the difference between a European and American standards, right? How often should I get fitted? You've washed that bra several times. That's why it doesn't support like it usually, or it used to. The fabric is stretched. You've got a lot going on, and that's why you're so uncomfortable, and you've got bad posture. When people see you, they think low self-esteem, no confidence. All of these things really do matter, versus I've got on the right bra, my shoulders sit up, I sit back, and people say that looks like somebody who's comfortable, who thinks and believes highly of herself. So much is at work in femininity, and I want women to have a thorough education about what it really is.
I love that. I am going to drop the link in the last 10 minutes in case anybody wants to talk. You can be camera on or camera
Yeah.
off. And, coming up on my last question for Kelly, but shout out to the men. The Condemn says, good point, Doc. On that note, I appreciate that modest outfit you two are wearing today. You are most welcome. And obviously, Kelly is absolutely stunning. But I try to say this often, especially to young women, you can absolutely be beautiful and still be modest. And it's so important. I mean, Kelly and I are both seemingly in very happy relationships that we keep private. Our men don't want us to be for public consumption. Why should a man share us with everybody? There are some things that are just for his, eyes only. With that, I'll say the feminine self-care is a huge part of maintaining and cultivating that feminine journey. Like I said earlier, if you just get up and go to work and you don't really do anything to cultivate, yes, we are born innately feminine. I saw Jürgen in here, even across the pond in Germany. Either you're a feminine woman or you're not. You're not going to turn it off and on, but you can, and I guess I'll ask you to speak to this. You can do things to enhance it, and you can also do
Yes.
things to stifle it. So, the bras and brunch that you're having, I will be there, but disclaimer, y'all, my man said I may share the food, but I will not be covering any of the lingerie. I'm going to go have my own experience with Kelly, so I'm so grateful to be able to do that. But we are having a graduation weekend for the ladies that are in the finishing school, and I was going to invite you if you're in town in April. It's a 3-day
Okay.
weekend. We're going to do. You will, yes.
No, let
Like
me just let me tell the dates. I don't want to commit to anything, but yeah, go ahead.
No, absolutely. It's the 5th, 6th, and 7th. But to your point, I'm setting up, even though our finishing school has been virtual, we have ladies flying in, and I'm putting together a weekend where Friday night it's going to be casual at Eclipse de Luna, just kind of Latin food and tapas and sangria. Saturday is our formal graduation dinner. We have a private room where we will be served. We'll be able to put into practice all the things that we've learned. And then Sunday, we're going to do tea at Neiman Marcus. And so I'm putting together a weekend so that the ladies can fellowship together, but to your point, have these experiences with other like-minded women. It really is important. So yes, if you're available and you want to come say a few words to the graduates, that would be lovely. But I definitely don't want to put you on the spot. Yes, no, no.
I didn't mean it like that, but I'm like, let me look at the calendar. I hate to speak too soon. I'm working on that, but I don't see that to be a problem at all.
Aw, thank you so much. Well, Jess is talking about it. We didn't talk about feminine care, but I know just taking care of your body from head to toe. This is one of those things, ladies, that our mothers should be teaching us. The older women should be teaching the young. Lucy and I have had some of these conversations with the ladies privately, but there's so much that is important for your physical health, because we women, we feel everything. So let me go to go to the last question that I have, which was basically, how can we follow and support you? So I know we talked about some of the things that you have, but any closing words as far as how my community can support you in the work that you're doing?
Absolutely. I am currently in phase 2 of my research for The Problem Has Found a Name, a necessary disclosure of the women's movement's underlying agenda and the reason why marriage is on the decline in the American West. So I am crowdsourcing and raising a lot of capital because that has, being a research based author is time consuming, which is why most of them apply for government grants or private grants, funding, loans, or whatever. So uh, sending a donation 10, 20, 30, 100, whatever you got to the Cash App to support my research is extremely helpful, because man, am I digging deep to tell the country the truth about why we are so bad off right now. So it's requiring quite a bit of funding. I need to hire a small research team and other things. So that's one of the best ways to support. Get the course, get the book. You know, my business is broken up into 2 parts: academia and self help. So the books are about, or this book is about telling the American West, like, here's how we got so bad off. And then the self help is, well, here's what I can do. Here's what femininity and masculinity are. How did I go wrong? This started in my childhood, things like that. So, support the courses, support the book, research for The Problem Has Found a Name, come to an event, educate yourself. Let me know that all this hard work I'm putting in is not in vain, of course, but yeah.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And I know I've got some moderators in the chat. If you all would hop over to Kelly's Instagram and drop her links in the chat here. She has posted about the bras and brunch on her page. For those of y'all that are in the Atlanta area, yes, I will be there, but no, I will not be doing any lingerie reporting back. Usually, because I stream every day when I'm not home, I do like a little documentary of what I've been up to. So since this is bras and brunch, I will share with you all the brunch portion of it. And Kim is saying that they've made being masculine negative. Yeah, we talked about that. And ladies, the men don't like feminists. I mean, it's, you have the choice to do whatever you want to do, but the men have spoken so much that they've almost stopped speaking. And Kim is saying people still believe in marriage. I agree. I think at our core, we ultimately want that nuclear family and that love. And one of the last things that I'll say that I've learned about you as far as being in a purposeful relationship, biblically, if we believe that we are a helpmate to our man, just understanding that when we choose wisely and we are in support and his purpose is our purpose and we're working in lockstep and we're not trying to wrestle each other to the ground, it is the most beautiful. And I think that's where we really glow from within. So I can't say thank you enough for being here and for sharing. Let's see, I think there was one last comment here. Jess is saying that she was raised by her dad, so she didn't learn a lot of the things that a mom would have taught her. So yes, get your course, go to events,
Please
surround yourself with
do.
like-minded women. Any final thoughts?
uh, hmm. Any final thoughts? Your relationship with, and I'm a Christian, so I ran away from God, right? I didn't think it was a whole logical thing, but I'm so glad that I figured out that Jesus is the way, He's the truth, and going to God by way of His Son really changed so much and opened my eyes to the truth and even things I was doing wrong, right? Because operating in sin separates you from God. So you really think you're on the right path as a woman, and the whole time you're not. So taking that relationship with your creator seriously is first and foremost. I do not believe that women can be successful in their femininity without understanding the blueprint that God has given us in the holy text. Or if you're, we both have diverse followings, if you subscribe to other things, we're not here to force you away from it, but you need to submit to something higher than yourself. As a woman, you are naturally submissive. So, yeah. It's
All
not to the
right.
wrong things and the wrong people, but
No, absolutely. I agree. We choose wisely not only in who I like to say, hitch our wagon to as the man that we follow, but also the other relationships that we have, whether it's friendships or societal influences. You talked about, music and media and all of the things that we choose to consume. They will affect us, ladies. And so we are here. I am here. Keli is here. Lucasely, all of us who really want to help you win. And we believe that's in being the best version of yourself. So stay tuned. Keli's Cash App is in the banner here. It is $, $. The problem has found a name. You all please support her. I have done that and will continue to do that. And yes, Kim says being submissive is beautiful. They have made it ugly, but of course you submit to a worthy man and he will bring it out of you. I could not agree more. So,
yeah.
on that note, everyone, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this morning mimosas with Keli Pitts, the femininity doctor. I am such a huge fan and still starstruck that she reached out to me. I cannot wait to come to your event in February and share with my community. You are welcome back anytime, and it would be my absolute honor to help you stand up your YouTube or however I can be of service to you.
Thank you. And check your email. I sent out to all the donors. There's a great interview with Chris Williamson and Mary Eberstadt. I sent you all yesterday because I watched it as a part of my research. I mean, and she really breaks down how feminism has made women promiscuous and hypersexualized and what that has done to them in the eyes of men, removing fathers from the home, and how she said, the father is the toughest gatekeeper in a woman's life, right? What happens when we remove strong fathers and then the woman is hypersexualized? We remove the shotgun wedding. So if a woman does get pregnant, there are no brothers and no strong men to go to that boyfriend's house and say, marry the girl or else. Right? So Maggie, I think you will enjoy that interview. If you donate to the book, I'm sending you all this great stuff. So you'll be like in real time educated, like, I didn't know that. So please check your email for that.
I absolutely will, and I cannot wait to continue the conversation. So thank you, everyone. And until the next time, we will see you all back here or on Keli's socials. Please follow her at the Femininity Doctor on all platforms. All right, everyone. Until next time.
Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome, Keli.